Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the latest edition of Wow, Lynch, Wow, dedicated to filmmaker David Lynch and inspired by the triumphant return of Twin Peaks. A quick warning to everyone who isn't caught up on all 6 episodes of the new season of Twin Peaks. There will be spoilers and they will begin any second, so viewers and listeners be warned. Did David Lynch leave us a clue in the poster of Battling Bud Mullins? Let's take a quick look at Battling Bud. So far, we've basically seen the big boss at Lucky 7, Bushnell Mullins, in 3 separate situations. The first time we saw him was Cooper's first day of work at Dougie's job. It was the big conference meeting where Frank got perturbed when he saw Coop chugging his coffee. He reluctantly settled on a green tea latte, and he looked suspicious of it at first. But for someone who supposedly never drank his coffee, Frank sure drank the hell out of that green tea latte. It was almost as ridiculous as the way Coop was chugging his coffee. So Coop's acting all weird to start the meeting, and Battling Bud doesn't like this, and he wants him to sit down. Tony kicks the meeting off, Cooper calls him a liar, and Mullins informs Coop that this is a serious allegation.
I want you in my office as soon as we're finished here.
So we see Mullins in the office with Coop after the meeting, and Mullins is none too happy with Cooper. He gives him a handful of case files and basically tells Coop that his job is on the line pending how he does on these files. When talking to Mullins, Cooper seemed to recognize the words agent and case files. Next time we see Mullins, he screams for Dougie to see him in his office. At first, he's furious.
What the hell are all these childish scribbles? How am I going to make any sense out of this?
But then Cooper does what I believe is his best job of verbally interacting with someone one-on-one.
Make sense of it.
Notice the way he says make sense of it.
Make sense of it.
The tone is a little different than what we have normally gotten from Coop during direct interactions. He was assertive when he called Tony a liar, but that was more of a reactionary impulse and not a one-on-one engagement. Listen to it again.
Make sense of it.
Battling Bud Mullins ultimately does make sense of it, and soon he discovers that there is a method behind the madness in Cooper's drawings. Some type of fraud was apparently exposed. Meanwhile, Cooper had become mesmerized by the boxing poster of a young Bud Mullins. The top of the poster says, "Tougher than the rest." Then it has his name, Bushnell Mullins, Battling Bud. Then it says, "In 4 furious rounds, Tuesday, 18th June, 7:30 p.m. If we take the Tuesday, June 18th part literally at face value, I think it's safe to assume we're talking 1957 or 1963, and I suppose possibly 1968. His fighting moniker, Battling Bud, and the tagline, "Tougher than the rest," these both seem to indicate that he was a blood and guts warrior with lots of courage, heart, and determination. He wasn't a finesse technician, but rather a brawler who was willing to take a few punches in order to get one off of his own. With the tagline, the moniker, and the overall old-school professional look and feel of the boxing poster, we are led to believe he was once an elite boxing talent in his prime. However, upon closer inspection, 4-rounders were usually reserved for preliminary bouts during this era, and Tuesday is a somewhat peculiar night for a high-profile prize fight. Maybe it's also worth noting that the Civic Auditorium is listed as the venue. When Coop sees the poster, he assumes a fighting stance. I think the poster is a clue. That poster is there for a reason, much like that huge picture in Gordon's office is there for a reason. Ladies and gentlemen, I think Coop is preparing for battle. In fact, I think he has 4 furious rounds ahead of him. I think it's coming June 18th, episode 7, and that about halfway through episode 7, the bell will sound to begin the first of 4 furious rounds of action. I don't know the order of the opponents, but if I had to venture a guess, I'd say these 2 guys will constitute a round somewhere along the way. Their boss is dead, but they may not know that yet, so I don't think that necessarily disqualifies them from consideration. Then we have these ruffians who just got taken to school by Janie E. They were utterly helpless in the face of her menacing wrath, and surely they view Cooper as a far less daunting task. They're going to believe he still owes them another $27,000 plus whatever interest accrued, and I think they'll find him eventually. And lest we forget, we have the angry casino bosses, which leads me to believe all 4 furious rounds will go down in or around the casino. These casino bosses are none too happy about the fact that Cooper won or assisted in winning 30 mega jackpots. Cooper's going to inevitably wind up back at that casino with Bill Shaker, and the casino bosses will want a few words with him when he gets there. And last, but I'm imagining certainly not least, we have the ball of fire that is Ike the Spike. Cooper will undoubtedly cross paths with Ike the Spike sooner or later, and it will sure be interesting to see how things play out, given the office slaughter Ike recently underwent. As a final thought, Cooper seems to have a much better connection with Mullins than he currently has with any other character not named Sonny Jim. So far, Lynch has shown us a bunch of shady-looking scumbag characters like Steven, Richard, Red, and Deputy Chad. Bushnell seems to be one of the good guys, but I gotta confess, this makes me suspicious of him already, where I'm thinking maybe he's in cahoots with Tony. If the original Twin Peaks taught us anything, people we often initially view as basically good aren't always what they seem. Anyway, whatever 4 furious rounds of action are ahead for Cooper, I venture to guess this will set up his big-time showdown against Bad Coop, which I think itself will culminate by leading us into the final act of the series. Just a guess on my part, but that's the hunch I'm getting. What do you think of Battling Bud Mullins and his interactions with Cooper so far? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and have a very good night, everyone.